If you've ever felt like there just aren't enough hours in your day to change anything about your life, this one might shift the way you look at your mornings. Almost everyone carries some version of the same quiet thought. I'll start when things settle down. I'll start when I have more energy. I'll start when I'm not this exhausted. We say it so often to ourselves that it stops sounding like an excuse and starts sounding like the truth. The days blur into each other the same way for most of us. Wake up already tired, go to work, come home too drained to do anything except rest just enough to do it all over again tomorrow. And somewhere in the middle of that loop sits the thing we actually wanted for ourselves: a skill, a business, a different version of our life, quietly waiting for a version of us that never quite seems to show up. Most people carry that unfinished dream for years, sometimes for their whole life, always one tired morning away from finally starting. This is the story of a man who stopped waiting for that version of himself to arrive and instead built it 1 hour before anyone else around him had even opened their eyes. There was a man who worked long shifts at a small garment factory, sewing the same seams into the same shirts 6 days a week for as long as he could remember. He had a quiet dream of opening his own tailoring shop one day, something small with his name on the door. But between the factory hours and the exhaustion that came home with him every single evening, that dream stayed exactly where dreams usually stay, somewhere for later. Then one morning, unable to sleep, he got up at 5, long before his shift started, and instead of lying there waiting for the alarm, he walked to the small back room of his house and sat down at the old sewing machine his mother had left him. He worked for 1 hour on nothing anyone had ordered and nothing that would sell that day, just a single shirt, cut and sewn exactly the way he'd always wanted to make one, with the kind of detail his factory work never gave him time for. The next morning, he did it again. And the morning after that, his wife noticed first. She'd wake briefly to the quiet hum of the machine and ask, half asleep, why he didn't just rest while he could. "I am resting," he told her once. "This is the only hour that actually feels like mine." His co-worker at the factory noticed the tiredness under his eyes. "Why are you waking up even earlier?" his co-worker asked, "when the job already takes everything out of us?" "Because the job was never going to give me what I actually wanted," the tailor said, "so I take an hour before it instead." His co-worker laughed, not unkindly, and said he'd rather sleep. He'd earned that hour, he said. Life was hard enough already. For a while, it genuinely seemed like the co-worker was right. The tailor's 5 a.m. hour produced nothing that mattered to anyone but him. A growing, slightly awkward pile of shirts nobody had asked for, made in a small room nobody saw. But he didn't stop. A full year passed this way, 1 hour at a time, before every single shift, rain or shine, tired or not. Slowly, without him really noticing at first, the shirt stopped looking like practice. A neighbor asked where he'd bought the one he wore to a wedding. A co-worker's wife asked if he'd make one for her husband's birthday. Word moved the way it does in small circles, quietly, one person at a time. By the second year, he was staying up a little later some nights just to keep up with orders that had started arriving because of that 5 a.m. hour, long before anyone else in his life was even awake enough to notice what he'd actually been building. Then came the year the factory announced it was closing. The machines were being moved to a newer facility 2 cities away, and every worker on that floor was told they had 3 months before their job simply wouldn't exist anymore. His co-worker, the same one who'd chosen sleep over that early hour, panicked the way most of the floor did. 3 months wasn't very much time to become anything else. The tailor didn't panic. He didn't need to become anything else. He already had been quietly for 2 years in a room nobody had been watching. When the factory finally closed, he opened the front door of his own small shop the very next week, not because he'd rushed to build it in 3 months, but because he never had to. It had already been built, one early hour at a time, long before he needed it to be finished. His old coworker came by not long after, looking for any kind of work, and stood in the doorway of that little shop for a long moment before saying anything at all. "You always seemed so tired back then," he said finally. "I never really understood what you were doing with that hour." I wasn't tired from losing sleep," the tailor said. "I was tired from quietly building something on the side while everyone else waited for the job to eventually give them what they actually wanted. It was never really about waking up early. It was about deciding, quietly and consistently, that the life he wanted wasn't going to arrive on its own, and giving it the one part of the day nobody else was competing for. A few things worth carrying with you from this one. The hour you think you don't have is often the only hour no one is asking you for. Small, unseen effort doesn't stay small forever if you keep showing up for it. And you don't need permission, extra time, or better circumstances to start. You just need 1 hour you're willing to protect. So if there's something you've been quietly wanting to build, this might be the sign to give it your next early morning instead of your next excuse. If this story meant something to you, let me know in the comments which part hit you the hardest. And if you'd like more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe.